What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on Little Red again, the Mk5 Jetta. We are going to do round 2 of the Renown steering wheel install. This is a gorgeous little steering wheel from Renown. It's got the red stitching on it and everything, as well as the red on the inset Renown logo down there on the base. So this is gonna look fantastic in the car. It's a great feel wrapped in Alcantara. If you watched the last video, you know that I was sent the wrong hub adapter from MOMO. It was actually the right box, it just had the wrong adapter in it. But this one here is the correct one. It's actually stamped with the correct part number on the unit itself. And this is actually the one that's designed to collapse under impact. Since we are getting rid of the airbag, we'll have a little bit of safety built into this hub here. We got the right parts this time, so I'm gonna take you step by step through getting the old wheel off with the airbag and getting this new good looking Renown wheel in its place. I'm super excited. Last week's video was the shift boot with the GTI plaid material. So this is just gonna take the interior to a whole nother level and make it more enjoyable every time I sit in the cockpit and start driving the car. So let's get to it. Oh, and hey, hats are available on the merch store. So click the link down in the description. You can pick up some cool Voyager RC swag. We got the beanies, the hats, some shirts, and some other accessories. All right, guys, so before we get started by taking this old steering wheel off, we are gonna be messing with the airbag, so you definitely wanna disconnect the negative terminal on your car's battery. That's gonna eliminate any worry about the airbag randomly deploying on you and smashing your face in while you're working on it. So disconnect the negative terminal from the car's battery, give it about 15 minutes, let it sit, let all any static energy just kind of dissipate. And then we can get started in here with removing the airbag and then removing the steering wheel from the column. Oh, and just a quick heads up before you start this, you will have an airbag light on your dash. I think that's kind of obvious. You are deleting the airbag. The horn will not be functional. Did he just say the horn won't be functional? Yep, that's right. I will be looking into a future solution for that, though. As of now, there's not really a good way to wire it up. So future video, hopefully we'll get that solved. And then you can, you know, alert people to your presence with your horn. And if you haven't noticed, I am removing the stock steering wheel that does not have any controls on it. So if you do have an upgraded steering wheel with controls for, say, the radio and possibly your cruise control, you will lose functionality of that. So give it a little extra thought if you have one of those steering wheels before you do the swap. Well, no more electricity in the system. This is kind of a weird angle, but you gotta get behind the steering wheel here to release the airbag. There's 2 clips, one on each side. So what you got to do is key in the ignition to release the steering lock. Just turn it to the on position. Obviously you're not gonna be able to start the car because there's no battery hooked up. Then you're gonna just rotate at 90. Doesn't matter what way you go first. Rotate at 90. That'll give you access to the back side up here. You got to get a flat blade screwdriver in there, small flat blade, kind of pry off that tab on one side. That'll release this side of the airbag. Then we'll rotate it 180 degrees from here to get the other side, which is currently on the bottom. Move that side to the top and we'll get that clip off. Then we'll be able to pull the airbag forward and release the electrical connection. And if you need to, if it makes it easier for you when you're trying to get the screwdriver back there to do all this work, you can pull out the steering shaft. Column? Pull the steering wheel out. That'll give you more access behind here to get this airbag popped off, and then you can just kind of play around with it and get it in the right position for you when you're doing all the other work. So just kind of feel around in there. You kind of got to get the flat blade on the top and go down to release it. So some people say go on the top and kind of rotate the flat blade or whatever. You'll kind of get a feel for it, and yeah, just watch me struggle. It's fine. Oh, so you can see now that you can pull this away, center up the steering wheel again, but you got this electrical connection in here. Basically you're gonna have to release that. You can use a pick or a flat blade screwdriver, there's a little white tab on top that you have to pull out towards you. That'll release the clip, and then as soon as that releases, the whole yellow clip will come out. With the airbag out of the way, just takes a 12mm triple square. That center bolt there, you're gonna have to back it off. So this extension here, having a little bit on there is gonna help just to get to the recess of the steering wheel. That way you can clear it with your wrench. But just put that 12mm triple square in there and then hold the wheel and try to back the nut off. You do wanna make sure before you start taking this off that you have the wheel centered as best as possible. So just kind of sit back, look at it, make sure it's centered, but just get this bolt out and we can rock the steering wheel off. It should just come off back and forth. You really shouldn't need a steering wheel puller. That's the bolt there. Make sure you hang on to this. You do need to reuse this to mount the new hub when you're putting the aftermarket hub and steering wheel on, so save this bolt. All right, with everything out of the way, we got the old wheel off and everything. You're down to the clock spring here. So you've got these two little tabs here, and they do have these little rubber grommets on them, kind of like a little sleeve that goes on them. It's probably gonna be easier, depending on what hub adapter you have, if you just slide those grommets off. That'll make the new alignment holes on the new hub adapter easier to slide on and get it on all the way. All right, at this point we can go ahead and slide the hub adapter on. You can see on the back side here, it's got these two holes for the alignment pins. There's not really an etching on the inside for the alignment mark on the steering shaft here. So what you want to do is, at least on this MOMO one, it's labeled top, and then you're going to line up that top hole there. Try to line that up as vertically as you can. You can do this two ways. You can either set it on like I am now, or you can actually mount the wheel first. That way you get a good look at the wheel being straight, but you want this as straight as possible. And I'm holding up the wheel there, lining up the holes, and that looks really straight there. So now we can just put that bolt back in that we pulled out of the original one using your 12 triple square. I actually put a little bit longer extension on this time just because it's a little deeper on this MOMO hub adapter, but that bolt in there, start it by hand so we don't cross thread it, and tighten her down. Don't need to Hulk out on that bolt, but you do want it nice and tight. Obviously you don't want your steering wheel flying off while you're driving it. Next step, since we got that on, we are not connecting the horn or anything. So that is one thing, is the horn is not going to be functioning at this point. I will do a future video if I come up with a solution for operating the horn, but at the current moment with this install, the horn will not be functional. Now we can start bolting on the wheel. So your steering wheel that you bought should have come with a bag of hardware. So just take those bolts out and start threading them in. You're going to want to leave them all loose until you get all the bolts in, and then you can go around and tighten them down. There you have it. All the bolts are tightened up. Steering wheel is on there. It's not going anywhere. You can use a little bit of blue thread locker on there if you're a little bit worried about them, but these bolts really shouldn't back out on you. So after that, you got the horn here. This is the center cap, the horn button. Like I said, this time it's not going to be hooked up, but getting this bad boy put in, you just kind of want to line it up, make it straight. That way the logos are all lined up, and then just gently press it in. Like so. All right, wheels on, pretty much done. All we got to do is reconnect the battery. That way we can start the engine, move the wheel lock to clear the steering wheel light on the dash, and then you can go take it for a test drive and make sure she's all lined up where you want it. And it looks really good, by the way. Steering wheel with the red accents and that new shift boot I put in with the GTI plaid with the red. Interior's looking real good now. And the aftermarket stereo with the phone mount. All right, guys, we got the steering wheel in. The cockpit's looking really good now with the steering wheel, the new shift boot, all that stuff. Pretty simple install. If you think about it, really the hardest part's getting the airbag off, but once you get a feel for where those prongs are and popping them off the backside, they're pretty easy. That's the biggest safety concern, is because you're dealing with an airbag, so always disconnect the battery like I said. So you always want to store your airbag with the logo, the horn side facing up. You don't want to store it facing down. If it were to go off, that's just going to cause a lot more damage because it's going to cause this to fly everywhere. So I'll be safe, always store these facing up, either hang on to it in case you want to put the stock steering wheel back on or get rid of it. Install is pretty easy though, just getting those airbag clips off is the hardest part, but you could do this whole process in less than an hour. I did leave the clock spring on. I have seen some guys do the install with taking the clock spring out. I think if you take the clock spring out, you do get a little bit flusher mount. You can see on mine there's a little bit of gap between the steering column and the hub adapter. I wanted to leave the clock spring in. I wanted to leave as much factory pieces in as I could. The only additional light on the dash right now is the airbag light. I think that's pretty obvious because you are removing the airbag. So you will have the airbag light on your dash while you're driving now. As well as I don't have the horn hooked up. Not really an easy, simple way to power the horn up. It's not really like you just plug it in. So I'm gonna look for a future solution to that so I can have a functioning horn, because there's a lot of idiots on the road and sometimes they need to hear you. But stay tuned for a future video on that. Hopefully I can get that sorted and do a video on it to show you guys how to hook up the horn. But other than that, the steering wheel's in. It looks fantastic. I couldn't be happier. This Renown wheel looks really good, especially with the red accents complementing, you know, the red car as well as the red plaid on the shift boot that I just put in. So check that video out too if you haven't seen it. I did an install video on swapping out the shift boot. Other than that, that's installing the steering wheel. It's a Renown steering wheel. I use the MOMO hub. That MOMO hub is designed to collapse under impact, so getting rid of the airbag but still maintaining a little bit of safety. Yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. If you got any comments, leave them down below. If you got any questions, I'm always willing to answer them to the best I can. So leave a comment down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next one. You'll see me in the next one too.